Hello and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast, episode 62 for the week of October 15th, 2018. I'm your host, Saine Grey. With me is Dalsson.
Hey.
And Thel.
Hi, review. Hey guys. Hey, welcome YouTube. This is going to be my review of this glass that I got at Michael's. They sold it to me as a glass that you can drink out of, but I think it might be a candle holder. So bottoms up, YouTube.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and
Don't forget to
click the
like,
bell
comment, and subscribe.
throw stuff.
And that's it for the show. Congratulations. All right. Yeah. Woo.
Woo! Man, that
So
was
I
a
can
really
only drink out
hard
of the
episode
front.
this week.
Yeah, it was a really tough episode. Overall, I'd have to give it a 3 out of 10. I'm pretty sure it's a candle holder.
That's not very good.
The glass.
That's not a very good glass.
It's not. It's
No,
not a
that is
very
not a-
good
that is
glass.
not a good
It
glass at
really
all.
isn't. As far as like for most glasses, like take for instance this cup that I have. It's also a skull. It has like a rounded edge
I
that
have
you
one
can
of
use
those.
to drink out of, and you can
Uh-huh.
drink out of any side of it. It has a handle for holding, so that you can put the liquid into your mouth easier. Whereas this has none of that. It has like some sort of weird concave edge, so I can't drink
And
like anywhere but the front.
and
And-
it has a bunch of epoxy resin getting into your drink just so that you can get cancer.
I don't know about that. I think it was made out of the things that were more glasses that were like skull-shaped mason jars.
Is it even glass or is it plastic? Because it looks like plastic.
It's glass.
Huh.
It's a glass made of glass. But
Here's
I
a
don't know.
glass. This is more plain, but it's like glass.
Well, I mean, if we're doing this, I guess I'll
Glass.
review my glass. It's green and
I mean,
For
I
the
also
same
have a
reason
can
that,
of
pretty
off-brand
good.
soda, so...
Yeah. For the same reason that the most important thing about a video game is the ability to play it, the most important thing about a glass is that it's a glass. And does a very bad job. So I wouldn't recommend it.
well, what would you recommend?
A regular
Hint, hint.
kind.
Not in the term of glasses. What have you seen this week, though?
Right. Fuck, what would I recommend? So as far as like things that I've actually seen this week that I haven't seen before, I'd probably, out of all of the things that I saw this week, I'd probably recommend Mandy. I watched that again and it was still very good.
Okay.
But I also, for new stuff, watched the first episode of House on Haunted Hill. Now, of course, I can't really give any.
No, the title is
okay.
different. What is it?
Oh yeah. It's The Haunting of Hill House. The first episode of The Haunting of Hill House, not a House on Haunted Hill.
Wait, okay, hang on. I
It's a
gotta
different
stop you
thing.
for a second.
Yeah?
That the comparison between those two titles reminds me of like all of the fucking shitty roguelikes that were popular like 2 years ago that came out. Like it would be like Dungeon. It would be like Dungeon and Rogue Dungeon and Dungeon of Rogue and Rogue of Dungeon and
Yeah.
all of those. It like reminds me of that phenomenon. You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
After
that
a
makes
while,
sense.
I just started putting dungeon behind things that didn't even have it because I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Caves of Quid Dungeon.
Yeah, you were like Legend of the Endless Dungeon.
I did play some Caves of Quid earlier this week.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
But how was The Haunting of Hill House?
How is the Haunting of Hill House?
Like I said, I can't really give like a sufficient review, a big review, because I've only seen the first episode and I watched it last night. So the first episode, I didn't really feel like it was spectacular. We're in kind of a really good big renaissance in movies for horror movies, right?
Mhm.
This definitely felt like it was a step back from that, and you sort of feel like if it's on TV, it should be better than movies nowadays. Because for the most part, you got stuff that is. Like you can
Yeah.
have like stuff that like we've been watching Better Call Saul. It can have like all of the story and all of the characters and still be a really slow burn and really good. And it's got some pretty interesting characters, and that's the best I can say for it so far.
And honestly, even in horror TV shows, Penny Dreadful just ended in 2016, and that was phenomenal. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed
Hasn't Penny Dreadful been going for like 20 years or something?
no, it only has 3 seasons.
I must be thinking of a different BBC show that isn't Doctor Who.
Penny Dreadful. I think maybe Penny Dreadful was a remake or something, possibly.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
Um.
Oh, hello.
So, the Haunted Hill House.
Okay. One of the big things is that's I hate to say this, but because I hate using this as like necessarily a negative or using this word at all. It's very tropey, and I mean this in that it seems like it's very cliched. It takes a lot of stuff from a lot of other like it feels like. Did you guys ever see like what was it? It was like The Lady in Black. It had like Daniel Radcliffe. It came out after like right after the Harry Potter movies.
You said The Lady in Black, and like that could have been so many different movies.
It could have been exactly.
I think I did see that actually, though.
All right.
Now that I'm thinking about
it, it's pretty. It seems like it's pretty much the same thing as that, except sort of set in like a modern setting. It cuts back from like a haunting that happens back in like the 70s or 80s when these kids were kids, and now they're all adults. And so it's constantly cutting back from past and present. It does that fairly well enough. It was a little bit confusing at first because a lot of the actors look kind of the same, but they're like, you know, normal TV actor men and women. But
that sounds like a worse version of It.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But yeah, and there was it relied very heavily on jump scares, at least for the first episode.
Okay.
And again, it's like jump scares are fine. You can do good jump scares, but
it can't be the only thing you're
if it can't really be the only thing. There was one good it was sort of like a guy runs through like the hallway of the house and like tells, okay, he does the thing. All right, listen, child. What I need you to do is I need you to close your eyes. You can't open your eyes. And then no matter what you hear, don't open your eyes. We're going to run through. And then he runs through and there's like a bunch of ghosts and shit going on. That's fine.
Uh-huh.
Do me a favor.
Yeah?
Will you tilt your camera down just a little bit? Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
But yeah, he does that. And that's the thing that happens. And that's the thing that's happened in other things. And that was a pretty good scene. And maybe it gets better. I don't know. So far, I'm not terribly impressed. But again, I've only seen the first episode, so it could end up being phenomenal. I don't know.
I mean, do you like it so far in that in a vacuum you would continue wanting to watch it, or would you just put it down? Because, like, I think that the first episode is the pilot episode is supposed to be pretty important. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we are kind of at past the point where it's like a lot of times shows get better past the pilot, like. For instance, you know, I've brought up like Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad had fantastic pilots, and that's what sort of rocketed them into stardom.
But I mean, BoJack Horseman didn't have the greatest first couple of episodes, so I mean, it can still happen. I
think I'll watch like up to like at least the first 3 episodes, especially because like on Netflix, it's a Netflix thing, right? So the whole season is there, and it's sort of like it's like you can have like a bad first episode and then like have it continue because you don't have to wait weeks between them. It's not going to be episodic. It's going to be like one through thing. So
right. The season 2 of Van Helsing also came out, so I'm interested in watching that as well. Or came to Netflix. I guess it's been out for other places, but
right.
Yeah. I gotta also talk about Vampire's Kiss.
You mean Castlevania?
No.
No, I mean Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
It's a Netflix show.
I did not know.
I think it's actually a Canadian horror TV series.
Huh.
Oh, okay, and it's just like on Netflix.
Yeah,
that's where I saw it from.
Because like a lot of stuff on that premieres on Canada makes its way to Netflix. So
yeah,
right. Yeah. I liked the first season of that. So
yeah.
What else we got?
Well, I just recently got off playing a interesting little game called Soulblight. It is a roguelike, so Rogue Soulblight of the Dungeon is actually what it should be called. It's so the most unique thing about Soulblight in particular is its combat system. It's besides that, it's normal roguelike flair. You know, you run around and you get little different conditions and effects on you, and you have different equipment that you get out of loot chests. But beyond that, the combat system of Soulblight is really weird. So when you get into a fight, you get locked into a fight with the thing that you are fighting. So your controls change. Whereas outside of combat, you can just go and move around whatever direction. You instantly change into like strafing mode, and you're like strafing around the dude. You have to time all of your hits to him not hitting you, or you can grab them, which means that neither of you can get away from each other. You are like locked right next to each other in combat and just beating the shit out of each other with your offhand weapon. Most of the time it seems that grabbing somebody will just get you killed. So it seems like the best strategy so far that I've found in this game is just to get a long weapon and back up and keep poking at them where they can't hit you.
It's probably worth noting that this game is in pretty early access, so
yeah, it is in pretty early access. But there are some really interesting things about it, right? So like every couple of floors, if you will, you get to choose something called a taint. Now, what that means is that you have usually a downside and like a huge upside that is conditional. So like, for example, one of the taints that I took was every time you kill a enemy in regular combat, you lose power. So you get less and less power as time goes on. But every time you assassinate an enemy without getting into a fight with them, you gain power. So I kind of tried to set up my character around that, and it was pretty fun until I got to the point where it was really hard to sneak around and assassinate people anymore, and then I just lost all of my power because I had to fight people. So it's like each of these taints like drastically changes your play style, or another one is you get more power the less items you're holding. And obviously in most roguelikes you want to hoard items, but if you have that, you can get a huge boost to your power if you have like nothing. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. I can't say I would give it a recommendation right now, but if they continue to develop it, it could get pretty good.
I watched you play a little bit of it this morning, and I thought the art style wasn't that great. It kind of turned me off to it.
Yeah, the art style was a little it's almost like the art style almost looks like Darkest Dungeon, but worse. Like you can't really tell what things are.
I don't even think it's that precisely. I think it's more like there's multiple kinds of, at least for me, there's multiple kinds of art styles happening, and I think they clash. Like the character models in particular look completely different from the backgrounds, and it, like, sure, it makes it easier to tell where your character is at, but at the same time, it doesn't look like it belongs in the same game.
It's not concise, right?
Or consistent.
Yeah, it's weird. Like as far as the art style goes, it's easy to distinctify things, or to like draw a distinction between things like the background. You're never going to mistake a chest for an enemy, but you don't really know what the enemies are. Like it's really hard to gauge because different enemies have different weapons and different types of damage resistance. Like some enemies you want to grab just because they don't have any resistance to the attacks while grabbing, and other enemies have huge resistance to grab attacks. So like, but it's really hard to tell the difference between, because everything is just straight top down. So what you basically see when you come up to an enemy is like a head and a pair of shoulders, and they all look the same aside from like color and size. So maybe that's something that gets better the longer you play. Like you start to recognize the enemies just from that head and shoulders. But I don't know. It's a little weird. Like now that you mention it, it wasn't really something I was thinking about while playing it. But,
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's why games like that often go for a little bit more of an isometric look. Because you still have like character models. Because that thing basically doesn't have character models. It has like, it might as well be like pegs, you know?
Yeah, exactly. They're basically just pegs. that's really all I have to say about Soulblight, and I haven't done a whole lot else this week that I can think of, really. I tried out a little... No, I didn't try out anything.
Oh, we could talk about Quake Champions, because we did try out that new mode.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Let's talk about Quake Champions briefly.
Okay.
Quake Champions released a new game mode called Slipgate, which...
I'm glad you remembered the name of it, because I did not.
As far as I'm concerned, it is just Counter-Strike. It's Counter-Strike. It's just Counter-Strike. They released a game mode that's Counter-Strike.
I think it's less than Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I feel like it's not Counter-Strike because it's like an attempt to do Counter-Strike in Quake, which I feel like defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah, see, I'm not upset about doing a single elimination mode, per se. Like, that's not my hang-up with it. And I think you could even do that. Like, you could do that better, I think. I think that my real issue with it has more to do with, like, they changed so many things about it compared to normal Quake that it just made it not work. Like, you start out, you know, probably as a consequence of making everyone have one life, they made it so everyone has full health and armor, which kind of further increases the gap in, you know, enemies or characters that have lots of health and armor versus characters who don't.
Right. It's different for a character who has 150 max armor to start out with 75 armor compared to somebody starting out with 0 armor but they're faster than it is for you to start out with max armor and them to start out with their small amount of max armor.
Yeah. And then on top of that, every character has every gun at the start, so there's no map control. Really, the defending team, they only guard 1 point, which gives kind of an advantage to the attackers because it means they have full run of the map. They can go...
Right.
If they run out of lightning gun, which seems to be the most popular weapon for this mode in particular, then they can just go get more ammo if they run out, which happened, and that sucks.
Yeah. Whereas if you leave the defense point to go get more ammo, then...
They could just win.
Yeah, that's something that we didn't point out. It's a single death mode that has a objective, which I feel it's not just kill everyone else. It is just kill everyone else. Like eventually, that's what it turns into. Yeah. But because no one really plays the objective until everyone else is fucking dead, or is like a hey, you better come over here and fight me, bitch, or else I'll get the objective.
Exactly. Yeah. So like,
and there's not even a ton of. I mean, we had at least one round where we just captured the objectives while everyone was fighting. So it's not like that it does nothing, but it just when it
doesn't do enough.
In every game like this, when there's single elimination, it often turns into kill the other team because that is one of the most obvious win conditions.
Yeah.
And it puts you at less risk as the attacker to kill everyone first, for obvious reasons. But other games mitigate this by having the objective work and function differently. Like, they might have to deliver a bomb to something, or they might have to not be disarmed or something in the case of Counter-Strike.
Or even in Counter-Strike specifically, if you... There are usually two control points on the map, so the defenders have to spread out and defend both of them, and the attackers also will likely get split up trying to attack multiple points.
Right, and this is more like King of the Hill, kind of.
Yeah.
Like defensive or like territories, defensive King of the Hill, but there's only one, so the defending team just defends 1 point, and the attacking team gets the full run of the map. If there were even 2 little points, then at least it would force the attackers to move, or the defenders rather, to move somewhere because they don't necessarily know where it's going to be attacked. It just seems like from top to bottom, it's just a poorly designed mode.
Also, each map only has one available spot for the defense. We played the same map multiple times, and the defense point is always in the same spot on each individual map.
Right.
So it's not like there's even like in Rainbow Six Siege, the defense point will have like 6 or 7 random spots that it can spawn, and the attacker's first objective is to find out where they need to go in the first place.
Yeah.
I just think that's
like,
I just think that's a consequence of
it being kind of a new mode in a game that's not used to it.
No, not really that, but trying to retrofit old maps into it, because it's like in a lot of those maps there's only one spot where it kind of makes sense to put that.
Yeah.
So
it's true. But that I think is the problem with the design of the mode, is that the one spot that it makes sense to do that is the spot where there are the most flanking points. And you have to get this right for flanking points, because if there's too many flanking points, then trying to defend something is nearly impossible, because they can come at you from any angle and they know where you're going to be every time. But if there's not enough flanking points, then the defenders will always know where the attackers are going to come through, and they can just lock that down. And I feel like the flanking points, there's just too many of them in Quake, because that's how Quake is designed as the fast-paced team deathmatch. You're supposed to just be able to be like, I'm in this room now, I can go any direction I want. And that's what you're supposed to do, just kind of go around and kill people.
And games even designed behind this concept mess it up often. Like Overwatch. Yeah. Overwatch messes it up plenty of times.
Yeah, Team Fortress 2 is the first time I heard about this design philosophy, and they always screw it up. Like, every time a new map is released in TF2, like the next 6 patches, you'll see added a flanking point at this spot in this map. So, like, yeah, I don't know. It's really difficult to balance, and I feel like with the way that Quake is as a game, it just gets even more difficult to do in this particular type of game.
What were you gonna say, Thel? We cut you off like twice.
I completely lost my thought.
I'm sorry.
I have no idea what it was.
Darn. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. It does seem like a temporary mode, so maybe they were just trying things out. And
yeah.
Like, I just, like, if you don't design the map after this kind of game type, it just has problems. Trying to retrofit it, even if you make subtle changes to the map, like, I don't think they did, but even if you do, like, that just doesn't go well. So.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like Slipgate, but I still love Quake Champions. Quake Champions is a great game. Quake in general is a great game. So
I don't like the changes they made to the lightning gun, though.
Ah, yes. Yeah. They made it hit 0.05 seconds faster, which makes it just ridiculously overpowered, and you wouldn't think it would.
And they reduced the knockback, so you can
Oh, that's right.
Kill people easier as well. Yeah. It just feels like a better version of that that other gun that shoots that's hit scan. You know, like the machine gun.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's Quake Champions.
And that's it.
I still do like it, and some of the new characters they added are fun, but
yeah, one of the new characters straight up has a grappling hook, so that's cool.
All right. Was that it, or should I go to the El Royale?
I think that's it for Quake Champions. Go ahead and go on El Royale.
Okay. Bad Times. Add that. Oops. Times only has one E.
Mediocre for last.
No. It was really good.
Oh, good.
I loved this movie.
No, we have one more thing, and that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, go on.
That's why when I was asking if we had another thing, I was asking if we had another thing before I went into El Royale, but that's fine, whatever.
Okay.
So Bad Times at the El Royale. I really loved this movie. It was very reminiscent of like Reservoir Dogs, which I was not expecting. So it kind of had like a very Tarantino-esque feel to it.
Okay.
One of the things it does is bounces around all of the like main characters in the movie, so you get to see the same scene from multiple different people's perspectives.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
All of the acting was really interesting, or like all really good. The writing was really interesting throughout. It was the kind of movie where I really didn't know what was going to happen next. It, like, I don't know. It really surprised me over and over, like multiple times. It was kind of an action movie, but it also had some really light moments too. It wasn't like, I don't know. It wasn't action movie in the sense of like Jurassic Park or something, but like more I don't know, nuanced than that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about it other than I just really enjoyed it. Because, like, basically everything about it was super good. All of the characters were really interesting. Jeff Bridges plays one of the main characters. There's another character that I don't really want to spoil, but, I mean, you could go look up the cast list
Jeff
if you really
Bridges
wanted to.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
There's at least one other, like, major actor, so... But I don't want to, like, go into it.
You don't even want to spoil who the actor is?
Yeah, because
John Hamm's in it.
It feels like, I don't know, it feels like a reveal even if it isn't. It's just a character who isn't there from the beginning.
Right.
And then when the character shows up, you're like, oh, it's that guy. So, I don't know.
Yeah. It was directed by the same guy who directed Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that. It is better than
it's
Cabin
not
in
Joss
the Woods.
Whedon. Joss Whedon only produced and I think wrote for Cabin in the Woods.
Huh.
It is better than Cabin in the Woods,
I didn't even
say.
know. I didn't know that
Okay.
Joss Whedon was involved with Cabin in the Woods at all. Actually,
My cat's, like, opening my curtains and it's making me look blue. Anyway.
okay.
Yeah, I, like... Probably the closest comparison I could make to it would be Reservoir Dogs. It has,
Really?
like, you could look at it as sort of, like, Pulp Fiction-y, too, a little bit.
A lot of people have been comparing it to The Hateful Eight. So,
Really?
That's
I mean, yeah,
odd.
Quentin Tarantino movies.
Right.
That's odd to me. Because what I'm comparing it to in terms of Reservoir Dogs is the story structure. It kind of goes
alright.
from character to character.
Okay.
Hateful Eight was just kind of like a solid through line, I think. It's been a while since I saw it.
Right.
Yeah. It's been a while since I saw it too, but yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right.
Whereas Reservoir Dogs felt like several, like, vignettes of things that led them to get to that point, and then each time you got someone else's backstory, it pushed the story forward a little bit. And this one is very similar into structure than that, like, to that. You got each character's sort of backstory and why they're there in the first place, and then what they're doing when other things are happening. So it was kind of like, I don't know, you know, that
there was a little, there was like it was like a through line, and then there was like a backstory in Hateful Eight. It was like chopped up into like 3 chapters.
Right. I'd still say it was more like Reservoir Dogs.
Okay. I mean, anyway about it.
Yeah, it reminds me of that one Simpsons episode where
11 short stories about Springfield.
Yeah, where it goes
Team
from
Hams.
multiple different characters' perspective, and, like, randomly they show up in each other's
Will
things.
connect,
And
yeah.
So kind of reminiscent of that. I really loved it. I was not, although maybe, you know, I didn't really know what to think about this movie going into it, other than I heard most people thought it was pretty good. I think it has like a 70-something on Rotten Tomatoes right now. So I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I would, and I think it'll, like, has that kind of cult classic feel to it.
Okay.
So
good.
I expect it to do better as time goes on, as people, like, word of mouth.
Right.
But, you know, Venom took box office #1 again this week.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It only had a 55% drop, which is like half of what people expected it to be. So, yeah. I really liked it. I wish I had more to say, but I don't want to really spoil anything.
Yeah,
exactly. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I'm excited to see this one.
Yeah.
All right.
It's also one that I would recommend to see in theaters because it feels worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I understand.
Sometimes, like, it's not even like the biggest, most bombastic movies with the best sound design or like the best thing. It's just like, you know what? I want to go see a movie that you're gonna go enjoy. If you're gonna go to like the movie house and like make a day of it, you might as well go and see one of the good ones. You know, one you go like, hell yeah, that was a good ass movie.
It also cracked me up. I also laughed out loud several times, but.
Good.
I mean, the man has proven himself to be a very good writer. He's directing the new X-Force movie. And by that, I mean new as in at some point it'll come out. Maybe.
But probably not, because Disney bought Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Or
all right.
will it?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll have to
Fun.
wait and see.
All right. So that was Bad Times at El Royale. What was the last thing we were going to talk about?
As I said, we
OKKO.
saved the most mediocre for last.
Yeah.
And I mean mediocre in the true meaning of the word, as in not really bad, but not really
really
good.
good.
Oh, the crossover thing?
No,
No.
we didn't. That's
Oh.
OKKO. The
Okay.
latest episode of OKKO, which we have not seen yet,
Yeah.
is one big Cartoon Network crossover episode.
That's
We've been
funny
watching the
because
whole
I have
series.
seen no episodes of OKKO except for the crossover episode.
I see.
Oh, okay. I mean,
yeah,
based on some of the stuff in the season,
That
we probably don't need to.
yeah.
Yeah.
That actually kind of. Oh shit! What was I gonna say? That actually, it's funny because we started watching OKKO like right before that episode came out, and then when
Yeah.
I saw it, it was
I'm gonna
like,
be
wow.
100% real. It's because of the fact that Ghoul School was in it.
I just kind of always wanted to try watching it.
Okay,
I
and that was what
suggested-
pushed me over the edge. I was like, all right, fuck it,
It's
let's watch it.
always-
It's got Ghoul School in it.
It's always been
Do it.
on my list, but I haven't gone out of my way to watch it.
I
Yeah.
would say if you're really bored, it's worth doing, but
Yeah.
it's not something that I would go out of my way to watch.
One of the things that I commented constantly while watching the show, right?
I'd rather finish Gumball first.
Ian JQ, the guy who is the showrunner for this, he worked on Steven Universe for a long time. It still does. I feel like, and like I said, I constantly said this throughout the whole time. I feel like he took the wrong things away from making Steven Universe, because as far as like an overarching plot structure, it's a very slow burn, but on each episode, it moves very, very fast. So the pacing feels really fucking weird. Because it's like,
Right.
there's like multiple episodes that lead up to this one thing. And then when that thing fucking gets there, it's like, oh, okay, that was it?
That was it.
We're done
Yeah.
now? We just fucking led
It's-
up to that shit for like 22 years, and that's all you got for me? Okay,
Yeah.
fuck.
It's another little
Yeah.
breadcrumbs of story arc kind of thing, and like the story arcs are almost entirely made up of breadcrumbs until there's one episode where they all fall into place, and sometimes
And those
that
come
can be
after
really
like
good, but they're-
20 episodes of what's essentially filler.
yeah, exactly. But
And what's yeah, go on.
see, I don't think that like from the standpoint of this particular show, I don't think that that's going against what it should. It's not like it's going against what it wants to do. It's not like it wants to have this big story and then it has to have filler. I think that the show is meant to be just this cute little fun where KO's he's an actual child, you know. He's like 9 or something. I think the show just wants to be this cute little fun where KO kind of goes around and he's like, I want to be a hero.
Yeah.
And
I think the problem with Steven Universe in particular is that the way they do their filler is kind of just really boring.
Right.
Because like a show like from knowing very little about OKKO, it seems like it's more about kind of a enemy of the week kind of thing, or like so it's not meant to
one enemy though. There's like
Well,
they have like a bad guy.
But I mean,
yeah.
But what I kind of mean though is it's supposed to be it's supposed to be more episodic, I think, probably compared to Steven Universe, which like maybe it kind of started as wanting to be episodic, but like they never really leaned into the monster of the week thing. Like I was expecting them to do that way more in the beginning, and they totally didn't.
Even at the beginning of Steven Universe, they started with this monster of the week kind of thing, but even in like I think it's episode 2 where they have to use Rose Quartz's old cannons to fight off a monster, and like that whole thing seeds basically the rest of the series.
So like I think just the problem with Steven Universe rather than doing the episodic thing, they just made it kind of not episodic and focused on this through plot, and then just gave you little bits and pieces over like breadcrumbs over time without having really interesting stuff happening in the meantime. It's like as much as it was character development for people, like nobody cares about the episodes with Lars. So
yeah. The big problem with OKKO is all right. You know how like even in like some not even the filler episodes, but like the Monster of the Week episodes, right?
Mhm.
You have like those interesting. You have like Garnet, Pearl, and Amethyst, who are all the interesting characters.
Okay.
Imagine if all of the Monster of the Week episodes were Steven, Sadie, and Lars. The three main characters of the show are kind of really boring, but all of the side characters, including the villains, are kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But then
like,
it focuses on like all of its energy on these three characters.
Yeah. So, why don't we just go? I don't think that there's really any big spoilers about OKKO that can
Like
really
one, but I don't know if that's gonna even stick. So, yeah.
So essentially, the whole world of OKKO has like basically everybody is either a hero or a villain.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, there are people who are normal, but they're like they have powers and stuff. Yes. Remember, like specifically, there was a particular group of people that was excluded from the hero registry entirely, so they couldn't have possibly been heroes.
Yeah.
So
how would you talk about that? That was like one episode. That was revealed and then fixed in the same episode. It didn't even fucking matter.
But
one of the main characters is one of those people, which was revealed and then fixed in the same episode.
Sure, but
and they're Kappas.
Yeah, the point is though that for the most part, everybody that you see in the show is a hero, and they all have their little power level, which are represented by these things called POW cards, which are like collectible trading cards, but for real people. So it's kind of neat. I like it. And KO
baseball
like
cards.
They're like baseball cards,
which are collectible cards of real people.
Yes, KO obsesses over his own POW card, which shows like you can get your own POW card and show your see your own power level and refresh it and stuff. It's pretty nifty. And then villains are negative power level because they're evil.
I wonder what happens if a villain gets reformed. Does their number just invert?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Does that happen?
Well, the POW cards
hasn't happened yet, but it probably will.
Okay.
The POW cards can be deceptive, because there's a character named Shadowy Figure, right, who was introduced as a hero with a POW card that was a hero POW card. And he gave KO this great power, which is actually the one single plot thread that like follows through the whole series.
And it's not nearly as interesting. Like we could describe it, which is it's essentially KO has like this darkness version of KO inside him, TKO, which makes him stronger, and he has to like control and cage it, and that's not nearly as interesting as it sounds.
Yeah.
So he's basically Naruto then.
Kind of.
Except fuck me.
Instead of having,
don't get me fucking started on the Naruto shit. There is wearing your
there's a character
on your shoulder, and then there is this shit. I'm gonna be real. I'm a little bit pissed off. Like in the last episode of the first season, I'm still pissed off. They dead ass stole a joke from Futurama. Straight the fuck up. They the joke from Futurama was so what happens if I get rid of my chip? You'll be fired. Out of a cannon into the sun. Exact same fucking joke in the last episode of season
word
1.
for word.
Pissed.
And then they did it.
Yeah, and then they did it, but still, I'm pissed.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like to some extent, reusing jokes is more of an homage than a.
Not this fucking time. I mean, like, if you're gonna do an homage, like, for instance, there was a point where Dendi, who is the best character in the show, the previously mentioned Kappa character, who every time she appears on the show, there's like a little crowd cheer that goes, yay, because everyone loves her.
Okay.
Outside of the show, I mean. There's a point in time where she starts talking in an accent, and we were like, what the fuck is she doing? And then she's like, my laboratory, and we're like, oh, okay.
Oh, that's what she's doing.
And it's like, that was an homage. This was a joke stolen.
Okay, but back to the original thing that started Thel off on this crazy rant. You mentioned Naruto. One of the characters is straight up has Naruto powers. Like, she just, like, one of her favorite techniques is to just disappear and leave a log where she was. Over and over again.
Her backstory does kind of make that, like, a little bit interesting. It's like, oh, that's why she can do magic. But, like, aside from that.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think that, like, when you look at a lot of the episodes individually, there's a lot of, like, okay, well, that was kind of boring. And there's a lot of episodes that are like, wow, that was pretty good. So as a whole, it's mediocre, but there are a lot of episodes that are
Oh yeah,
pretty interesting. Like
especially any episode that doesn't focus on KO, Radicles, and Enid are great.
Yeah, straight up.
Like any episode, oh, this isn't about the main 3 characters? Well, I guess we're in for a good episode this time.
Yeah, straight up. There was an episode where the character named Lord Boxman, who is obviously just Eggman, and also voiced by Jim Cummings.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So is it the characterization of the main characters that are bad, or is it the writing surrounding them?
It's a little bit of both. It's not so much that the characterization, I think it's the characterization that's bad, because it's like, the writing's fine. It's not like horrendous or terrible or anything. Like, I'm mad about the fact they stole a joke, but aside from that, like, it's fine. It's not like...
So the characters are just uninteresting, or...
Yeah, they're just kind of boring.
I don't think that...
You have, like, Chad Jockman, and Girl, who's constantly bored, and KO, who is hero protagonist of Child Show.
I mean, like, you can boil them down that much. I don't think they're that particularly boring. Like, I think that when they get... I think that as, like, all 3 of them together are really boring, because when they're together, they do that. They just, like, are their little things that you say. But when they get an episode to focus on them specifically, like, Enid, the episode where we got to meet her parents, it turns out that the reason she does all this magical ninja shit is because she's actually a witch and she wanted to be a ninja. So she decided to become a ninja instead.
Yeah, and also Enid got a good episode when she met the Red Power Rangers. So basically, Enid's okay. Yeah. Radicles is boring as shit, and KO isn't too terribly interesting either.
But what I wanted to say was I do agree with Thel for the most part that the side characters are much more interesting. There was an entire episode dedicated to Lord Boxman, who is a robot engineer, and Professor Venomous, who is a genetic engineer, going on a yacht party, and they left their minions together, like, the robots were babysitting.
You know what this kind of sounds like almost to me? The way that you're describing this, because this is me from the outside, totally having only seen one episode, which is the most unreminiscent, like, unrepresentative episode of the entire series, probably.
Right.
But it sounds a lot like this is just My Hero Academia with the main characters being boring instead of being
I would say
Deku.
It's the Venture Brothers, but with the main characters being boring.
I think Thel's been watching a lot of the Venture Brothers. Because
I've been watching a lot of the Venture Brothers. I love the Venture
literally
Brothers.
Everything we watch to the Venture Brothers, no matter what it is.
So, yeah.
Well, hey, excuse me. There were like 13 different voice actors that carried over, including but not limited to Dr. Venture himself.
Then I will ask you, Dalsson, is that assessment a fair one, or...
I don't really think that's particularly... I would say it's a fair assessment to come up with, but I don't think it's accurate.
I would probably say it's closer to like more now Venture Brothers, because in the recent seasons they've been doing a lot of focus on like the guild and the OSI and like what it means to be a hero in that world, and that's very much what this is about, but like a very lighter version. But yeah, My Hero Academia is also a really good one too. Yeah,
I think that the best. I don't know. My main point that I want to get to is that I think that the best part about this show is the world that they build up. I like it.
I'd say like the world is kind of boring, but the side characters in the world are interesting. Like Lord Boxman, for instance, he has like this coterie of robots, which are his henchmen, and it doesn't play them off as just like normal henchmen. They're sort of like his kids.
They're like
they're actively his children, and they call him Dad. And that's like
Daddy.
Yeah, they call him Daddy, and it's really. I don't want to use that word, but it's like it does this in a really fun and interesting way, to the point where, like, you know, like he was about to mention, Dr. Venomous, who is a genetic engineer and has his own henchman, who is this little rabbit that he probably engineered, and he has like Dr. Boxman babysit the other little henchman, and it shows like, you know, the kids, Dr. Boxman's kids kind of have it kind of bad, and this henchman of Dr. Venomous has it pretty good.
Yeah, Dr. Venomous like loves his little henchman and takes good care of her, and Boxman's robots are like
mistreated horribly.
Yeah.
Okay, the more that you're talking about this, It's probably funny to make this comparison because they're both on Cartoon Network.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It actually is starting to sound more like Adventure Time to me, because again, with Adventure Time, the most interesting part is the world that they create in that show. And I think early on, Jake and Finn are boring as shit. So it's not until they get better characterization later on that starts to recover. So I think maybe OKKO could come around to that.
And we're probably gonna keep watching.
And that's why we continued to watch it is because the little bits they seed, I feel the little bits they seed pay off faster than Steven Universe, and so it's enough to keep you watching.
Yeah.
Like the little arc about TKO, they had like they paced their story seeds out better, but the filler is a little more boring, maybe. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but
I think Adventure Time is probably like, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I think that it could probably be fairly compared to it, because I think that was really the issue with a lot of the early stuff in season 1.
Yeah,
Adventure Time
and
too.
like especially with like the problem I have with like the 3 main characters, like like Jake and Finn, exactly. It's like, and then you had like some story seeds in the early parts of Adventure Time, like little stuff with Princess Bubblegum and stuff going on there. It's like, wow, I want to know more about that. Oh, still hanging out with Finn and Jake? Okay.
Yeah, but I think maybe the payoff for the end of the season for OKKO might not have been as good as the payoff of the Lich, because that was such a good moment.
No, certainly not.
But that was over the course of 3 seasons or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that Lich was season 2, actually.
Yeah,
I think, but I could be completely fucking wrong.
Right.
So let me follow this train of thought with the story seeds thing. Let's take the thing about TKO, right? Like, shadowy figure gives him this power, unleashes this power in him. Whoever shadowy figure is, it's definitely not Lord Venomous, because he has the exact same voice and the exact same facial structure. So it can't possibly be him, because because shadowy figure is slightly more powerful than Professor Venomous. So it's definitely not Professor Venomous.
And he has like the same goal as Professor Venomous.
But anyway, KO gets this power unleashed, and like he just beats the shit out of this robot that's killing them, and they're like, "Wow, KO, I can't believe you did that. You don't even do anything. Like, that's crazy. Like, how you can't? All you can do is shoot a fist every once in a while." And he's like,
and then KO's like, "I'm rude now.
Shut up, lamos. I hate you." And then he starts destroying the whole plaza, which is where they live, and they're like, "Oh no," and they have to fix KO. Well, then later on, there's an episode where Dindy, who's like the science
best character on the show,
and the scientist character,
played by
Peridot, tries to study KO's latent abilities of TKO, and she kind of like, I don't know, she puts him through a lot of stress tests, and he goes berserk, and then she fixes him again. So it's kind of almost a repeat of the first episode. But then later on in the series, there's an episode where like you can see them working on it, and like he's getting slowly more and more in control of his latent powers. And then the payoff at the end is he like instead of just shoving TKO down inside him where he can't get out at all, he's like, "You let me use this power and I'll let you destroy whatever you want in here in my mind," or whatever, which sounds bad, but it's not. He gives him a punching bag or something, you know. So like he kind of gets in control of his latent power, and he's not as destructive, and so like that seeds fairly well spaced out between all of the episodes we watch. So I think that that for the more interesting story-driven episodes, the pacing is a lot better than some of the shows that I've seen. But due to the fact that most of the episodes are just little one-off side stories,
I think I figured out what my problem with the characters are.
What is it?
Well, I was thinking about this, right? I really like Dendy, who is basically just the scientist character, who is adorable. Yes, but I feel like she's a better character than everyone. I was thinking, but why?
Okay.
She constantly fucks up. She makes constant mistakes and then learns from them, whereas all of the other characters don't. They just are good. And that's it. like if they make a mistake, it's not their fault. Whereas if Dendi makes a mistake, it's definitely her fault. Like she went too far with a couple of things or something. Like,
I don't really necessarily agree with that. Like there's that episode where Radically screws up his little social media thing and everybody thinks he's funny and he loves it, but because everybody thinks he's funny, but it's not, it's just he just became a meme, and so he learned.
But then again, that was because someone else like recorded him.
Well, I don't think, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think
know.
this is going places.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that the characters are as one-dimensional as Thel is putting off, but
I want to spoil a joke from the crossover episode, which made me a little angry.
Okay,
go
on.
With that.
So it's a crossover episode of a lot of different characters in Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
One of the characters that is in that episode is Raven from Teen Titans Go.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the episode, it's Raven who basically sends everyone home with magic. And she opens a portal for herself, and over it has the old Teen Titans logo, and she was like, oh shit, that was the wrong one. That was close. And she fixes it and then goes to the Teen Titans Go universe. So it was like, oh my god, that lampshade, I hate that.
They keep doing it too, yeah.
Fucking, they did it with the movie, and it didn't make enough money, so they aren't going to give us the new Teen Titans show.
Yeah,
or like reboot it.
Well, I don't know.
No, that they specifically said that.
No, they said that. That's shitty. Okay. There was one. Oh yeah.
How does that make any sense, by the way? If this show that everybody dislikes because it's not like the old one doesn't make enough money, we're not going to give you back the old one.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I don't understand.
That's absolutely.
I feel like Cartoon Network has been making mistakes on like a corporate level. I'm not talking about like the fucking writers or whatever. That's still, but like on a corporate level, Cartoon Network has been making a bunch of mistakes and bad decisions. And I feel like a lot of people would agree with me there.
Yeah, I've seen things about particular.
I feel like everybody agrees.
Particular people in the corporate chain that may or may not be to blame for things, and even like the person who it makes the most sense to blame might not be the one to blame because she has people above her too that could be to blame. So I don't know. That seems like a mess.
Yeah.
There was one last thing that I've forgotten to mention this whole time because I keep getting random trains of thought because I keep getting cut off. The
happens to us all.
Animation that they do. Often the animation is I would say it's really good. The art style might not be for everybody, but I would say the animation in the show is really good, and they like to play with the animation a lot too. There was an entire episode where they just riffed on Captain Planet for the first 5 minutes, and then for the second 5 minutes, it flat out, unabashedly was an episode of Captain Planet. They all got the power rings and they summoned Captain Planet. Not like a Captain Planet XP, Captain Planet himself. And then the rest of the episode just played out like Captain Planet up to the very end where they're like, global climate change is the most important thing and you can't stop it, but we can slow it down. Like straight up an episode of Captain Planet. The animation
Did they have the theme song?
They did. Go Planet. And they did like
okay, I think I might watch OKKO then.
It's pretty good, I'm telling you.
So, but
it's not something to go out of your way for.
I almost feel like OKKO is like designed to be a crossover thing.
Yeah.
Because it seems more and more, the more I'm seeing about how it's crossing over with things, it feels like the intention of the show was to almost maybe just to gauge interest in old properties that they still own. You know what I mean? Because if they bring someone back, they could be like, do you want this thing? Maybe? Okay, let's reboot that. How about this thing? Okay, you don't like that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, like, the side episodes that don't have anything to do with anything, some of them are really good when they, again, don't focus on the main three. Like, we were talking about the episode where the fucking Boxman's kids babysit Venomous's kid. It's like, there was previously before that there was a big story episode about how Boxman and Venomous went to a fucking yacht party that kicked off a bunch of shit.
Yeah, and that was the reason.
That was like a filler episode, but it was fun as hell, and I loved it.
I remember at the end of that episode where they were at the yacht party, Thel was like, I'm disappointed that they didn't just have a side story where it showed all the robot minions babysitting Fink, who's
and then there was the next episode.
And then the next episode was that story.
And it was better than the fucking story episode.
It was. So yeah. I really like OKKO. I'm definitely a lot hotter on it than I know Thel is, but
oh yeah. I mean, as far as like a kids show, it's pretty damn good. Kids are gonna fucking love this show. Like for real,
yeah,
they're gonna eat this shit up.
Oh, another honorable mention for episodes was an episode that came very early on. Boxman designed a robot that was like an animal robot, and it started. It just kicked the shit out of them, and they were like, "Wait, I know what to do. We have to become animals too." So they got bitten by a werewolf, werecat or something. And they all turned into furries and they beat the shit out of the robot and they won. And they're like, okay, now how do we turn back? And they're like, oh, you can't.
Yeah.
So it is canon within the rest of the show. The way that they resolved this was they just put on costumes of themselves. And so it's canon within the rest of the show that they're just furries.
Yeah,
that human costumes.
That is and I say this is you saying this is like an episodic thing. This is brought up like a couple of times.
Yeah,
like, in little side things
like we were like, oh, I guess they just went back to the status quo. But then later on, there was another episode where it showed KO as his little dog, and I'm like, oh wait, no, they really are just wearing costumes, huh?
Yeah, it was the episode where KO puts up a YouTube channel, which is probably the best episode with like the main three. It's where one of the YouTube videos KO puts on is like a makeup tutorial for how to dress up as like a human.
Yeah.
Or a dog person.
Well, anyway, before we start going into individual episodes that you guys liked, let's move on then.
Yeah. Right, I wanted to throw an honorable mention to that one to kind of point out the continuity that the show contains.
I was probably unlikely to put this up on my list of things I want to watch sort of soon, but after hearing you guys talking about it, I'm actually more interested than I was before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Despite its problems, yeah.
It has problems, but I mean,
so does everything.
There's good stuff there too.
Yeah.
I think the only series that I don't think has problems is Star versus after season 1. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Star versus is pretty fucking good. I would say Venture Brothers too. I fucking love Venture Brothers. It's perfect. It's my favorite thing.
The problem with Venture Brothers is its release schedule.
Oh yeah, the problem with Venture Brothers is its release schedule in first season.
Yeah,
I thought the first season was okay.
Okay, I mean, a lot of people, some people say it like peaked at season 2 because like that's where the humor got really good. There was the Curse of the Mummy's Tomb Part 2 was fantastic.
That was a really good. I like that.
Yeah,
episode.
And it didn't even have any. It like had this whole huge thing at the beginning about how it was the joke was it was a part 2. It didn't have anything to do with that. It had like it was a dick measuring contest.
Mecha Shiva.
A dick measuring contest between Dr. Orpheus and Dr. Venture.
Mecha Shiva. Between Dr. Orpheus and Mecha Shiva.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I just love how fucking Dean and Hank are just making shit up.
If you haven't found out by episode 62 of this podcast, we are very passionate about cartoons.
Yeah.
Yep. They're like my favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Marvel stuff.
Yeah, well,
passionate about cartoons and Marvel stuff, except for Thel.
Yeah, except for me. They killed an entire medium. They murdered it. It's dead now.
Movies don't exist anymore. They've never released another movie.
Not movies.
What medium then?
Comic books.
They didn't murder comic books. Comic books are more popular than ever now.
Comic books are superheroes, and that's it.
They invented comic books.
That's also not true, though. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, let me explain. The fact that someone can say, I don't like comic books because I don't like superheroes is kind of a problem. The fact that they've been reusing the same characters
that has been a problem.
Kind of a problem.
That's been a problem long before these movies.
Yeah.
Though.
Oh, I'm not talking again. I'm not talking about the movies. I'm talking about them in general over the years.
Marvel?
Over like 40. Well, Marvel and DC, the big two.
Well, you can't blame them for being popular though. And in a way, comic books that aren't superheroes just rebranded themselves as graphic novels. So
yeah.
it worked out.
I suppose.
Yeah.
You can still get your Frank Miller stuff.
Yeah,
it's true.
I say that as if he didn't do a bunch of superheroes too, but
superheroes, yeah. It's like the thing with Alan Moore. It's like, yeah, he also did superheroes. He tried to elevate the medium, and then they didn't.
I would say most people think that they don't like comic books because they don't like superheroes, but in actuality, they just don't like comic books.
I think it's more than that. I think they just don't like to read.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have publishers like IDW who are doing like comic books based on popular cartoons, such as Scooby-Doo and My Little Pony, Doctor Who.
Yeah, and they all sell.
Adventure Time, and they all sell. They sell a lot. People just don't. I really think people who are like that just don't like reading comic books.
They don't like reading. I think these same people are probably just as unlikely to read books. So
yeah, Scooby-Doo Apocalypse is one of the best comics I've read in a long time. So I don't know, and it has nothing to do with superheroes. It's just a retelling of a Scooby-Doo type thing.
Yeah, I'm talking about like original works.
I mean, at the same time, though, you know what is actually probably helping to diffuse this very problem that you're having?
What is that?
The Walking Dead.
Probably, yeah.
Because The Walking Dead is like a super famous thing now, and people know that it's based off of a comic about zombies, and it's not superheroes. So
yeah, I would say that's definitely helping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, it doesn't help, or it also helps that like it feels like every other movie you watch is based off of a graphic novel from somewhere you've never heard of.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember when Valerian came out? Apparently, that like I didn't know that was like a French graphic novel or something that's based off of, but it's too bad the movie wasn't very good. But you know,
it was based off of the thing that the dude was working on, like. I swear to God, he was working with the comic artist who did Valerian when he did The Fifth Element. Like that was the guy who did the fucking. I could be thinking of something else. I know he also worked on heavy metal for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Why there's so much like crossover between Fifth Element and the heavy metal movie.
I have no idea, but yeah, I remember finding out that Valerian was based off of a comic book named Valerian.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So I think that is changing. It's just people are going to simplify things no matter what because they want an excuse to write things off. So.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
The same thing happens with cartoons. You could say anybody will say I don't like cartoons because I'm not a kid. Like it's the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
And even then, I think anime is helping with that. So
exactly.
Yeah. But I mean,
plus adults are getting nerdier. I feel like over time.
Yeah.
So,
but then again, that's like the thing about like adults getting nerdier, right? Is they're going into the still like the most like base level, like big stuff. You know what I'm saying? They're not going in for the indie stuff necessarily. I mean, I believe that adults are getting more into the indie stuff too, but like getting nerdier, they're going for like.
But that's just
properties
gatekeeping.
Rather than creators,
like it doesn't matter how somebody gets into something like that. If they get into something like that, and
no, that's what I'm saying. I want them to get into stuff like that, but they're not.
Well, they won't get into stuff like that if they've never been exposed to it in the first place.
I think
Spider-Man comics. Nobody. There would be a lot less people that were into Spider-Man comics now if those Spider-Man movies hadn't come out.
I think Spider-Man in particular is a really bad example though, because Spider-Man has always been Marvel's most
it's always
famous character.
Popular, but like, well, what I mean is like they're getting there and they're staying there. I'm not saying like that's like
I don't think they are, though.
Like...
I think there are a number of people who are staying there, but you're just increasing the surface area enough that, yeah, maybe only 15-20% of the people who see the Venom movie are ever going to touch a Venom comic. But at the same time, like, if 20% of those people do touch a comic and they never have before, then that's still an improvement in the medium. I don't know.
And even if we're not just talking about comics, like Dungeons and Dragons is more popular now than it has ever been, and it's because things like video games like Divinity or Baldur,
just video games, any
video
fantasy video games, and the Lord of the Rings movies.
It's getting more people to play Dungeons and Dragons. So like, yes, a lot of people will go into something like Lord of the Rings and just stay there and be like, okay, I like fantasy because I like Lord of the Rings. But other people will go into Lord of the Rings and be like, wow, I really like fantasy. And then they'll go and explore all their options.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is like the people who declare their nerdiness are mostly just sticking with like the big stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah,
like
but those are people who you don't want to talk to anyway because they're just...
Yeah. I mean, yes.
Those people are super extra. Who cares?
Yeah, that's where I'm at with them.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on, because that was a hell of a tangent.
Yeah.
Why don't we head to a break here for a little bit, and then we'll come back and do the movie and news. We're actually pretty on target for time, surprisingly.
Yeah. We stretched OKKO out a lot longer than it ever needed to go.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Fine.
So why don't we come back at... Well, how long do you need? Do you want, like, 5 minutes, or do you want, like, 10 minutes?
I don't care. I'm not really going to do anything. 5.
I'm probably going to get some more...
Yeah, 5 sounds good.
Yeah.
So I don't...
Excuse me.
Well, let's just say 5:15, because that's a nice round number, and it's like 8 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, we will be back in a little bit. All right, we're back. So for this last half of the show, we're going to check out or talk about movie news, game and movie news.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with movie news?
Okay.
Okie dokie. Let's get this on the road. What do we got today? Not much. Not very much at all. The first one, and probably the biggest one, however, James Gunn. Marvel fired him, and we've been following that shit like hotcakes. He's moved to DC and is maybe gonna do the next Suicide Squad movie. If there was anything that he would do well in DC, it would be that.
You know,
I mean, for real.
Being able to fix their travesty of a ensemble cast movie, like he would be the one to do it. It's kind of funny,
if they let him.
Well, I feel like they're desperate.
Yeah,
and they gave what's her name full reign on Wonder Woman, and ever since then they were kind of like, you know, maybe we should stop doing this Zack Snyder universe thing and just make good movies. And so I don't know what's come out since then, but I don't think anything has actually. But
yeah, well, since they switched their like
philosophy.
Yeah, their game plan.
Because that kind of came on after the Justice League.
Yeah.
So
that came out like right before Justice League, which means it was filming at the exact same time as Justice League.
Although, didn't I hear that their universe
for the Justice
was
League?
Dead?
Oh,
didn't they say their universe was dead now?
No, you might be thinking of the what was it? The Dark Universe, which apparently is coming back.
No, that was also dead. But that's not what I was talking about. I feel like they said with their plan for Justice League movies that was dead because of Ben Affleck and stuff.
I think I know what you're talking about, and maybe.
But I guess maybe the Suicide Squad is gonna fit in with their Joker universe that they're doing with Jay Leto.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
So
I have absolutely no idea what the fuck going on over at DC.
I mean, they'll come out with movies, and I guess I'll watch them. That's where I'm at.
That's where I'm at. Except sometimes I'm like, I guess I won't.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll see them all.
When you go to the movie house, when you make a day of it, and you want to go see a movie, you want to go see a movie that you're gonna enjoy, not go, oh well.
Yeah. The difference between you is you have to make an actual day out of it, and I make 3-4 hours at most.
Yeah.
When I go to the movie, I enjoy it, just period, because I think I just like going to the movies, and I don't do it enough. And I feel like if I did it more, I would enjoy particular movies less. But even just going, I'm
yeah,
happy.
yeah. Like even if I go to a bad movie, at least I'm going to a fucking movie. It's just like,
right.
Hey, I'm going to the movies. This movie fucking sucks. I prefer to go to the movies and then go to a movie that I enjoy watching, though.
Right.
Because there's a bunch of movies like I could have watched this at home and then decided, well, that's enough of that.
See, this is why you guys just need to move closer to me, and then we could all go to the movies together.
Yeah.
Because I have a car.
Right.
Yeah. I could drive.
But I'm not driving to you.
Yeah, fair enough. That's understandable.
That's only like a 12-hour drive. That's nothing.
Yeah, I fucking do a 12-hour drive. I don't even give a shit anymore.
If we met up in LA, it would be an 8-hour drive.
Ooh.
That would mean more.
Well, more for you, because I would be going to you less, and you would be coming to me more. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
What else? On a side note to this, this James Gunn thing, this is sort of unrelated, but is. There was a statement. Or I don't know if it was a statement or a leaked thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure if this is like, if I'm 100% accurate on this, but one of the executives who fired Roseanne over her comments also said something like, we think that we may have reacted too harshly in that situation. So this is kind of blowing back on, like, kind of turning around on everything, because, like, you can't just yell at someone and pull something stupid they said from 10 years ago. Maybe not in Roseanne's case, but pull something from 10 years ago and use it against them, because that's not fair to anyone. So
well, yeah, the difference between like Roseanne is like more like context. I'm pretty sure Roseanne Barr might actually be kind of a racist, whereas this man was saying dumbass bullshit in the 2000s that were like the joke. That was the joke.
Yeah,
that was.
I mean, everybody.
She said, Roseanne said that she didn't mean it that way, but like, I mean,
what way? What do you mean? Like, I don't know.
Do you remember what the exact quote was? So the exact quote was, she said that someone who was black was a mixture of something in Planet of the Apes. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So like, what could she possibly? That's not a way.
But I think that the way that she explained it, and I'm not defending her. First of all.
Oh yeah.
I just want to make that clear.
Yeah. You're just saying what she said. She
said that it had to, because it was on policy of some sort, and I don't remember exactly what policy it even was. But she was saying that it was like an old kind of small mind, like, you know, Dark Ages kind of policy. So she said she was talking more about the setting of Planet of the Apes, not equating her to an ape.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. You know, it was a dumb comment. She apologized for it, but she still got canned, and you know, that is just a thing. So
yeah.
But really, people just need to stop using Twitter. Like, that's,
I think so,
ultimately that's.
If you don't know how to use the internet, don't fucking use Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, plus comedians in particular, and this goes for Roseanne and James Gunn, and basically everyone who's been caught up in this bullshit. It's like they sometimes are intentionally provocative, and if they're comedians, you kind of have to give them some leeway for that.
That's what comedians do.
Yeah, they're supposed to push boundaries and say inappropriate things and act provocatively, because what they're trying to do is get a rise out of people, because that's kind of their job. So, I don't. Maybe in Roseanne's case it was justified. I still kind of don't think it was justified for James Gunn, but like, it is what it is.
Right.
Exactly. Let's move on to the next topic.
Next one. Iron Fist will not be returning for a season 3. Lamau rip.
So apparently, reviews generally have been good for Iron Fist season 2. It's kind of on my list of things that I'm going to watch, but I haven't yet.
Has it come out?
It is come out. Season 2 for Iron Fist has come out. It was just kind of like no fanfare because people really didn't like the first one.
Netflix didn't even fucking tell me. Like, dead ass, Netflix told me about, like, the fucking wonderful world of confectionaries that this lady put out. They didn't tell me shit about Iron Fist coming out. Wow, Netflix. I actively don't like anything related to Big Mouth, but you shoved that shit down my throat hard.
Well,
you didn't even tell me that shit.
Iron Fist was advertised to me as having come out.
Okay,
so
alright.
I don't know. Maybe they just know something. Maybe they just know that you like movies or stuff in for like media that is better than the rating of that, and maybe they just decided that you wouldn't like that
but
one.
Then again, they shoved Big Mouth down my throat like it was fucking Photoshop.
Yeah, but that just came out. That was like that wasn't based on previous whatever.
Yeah, previous history, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know.
Season, maybe you'd like it.
So
maybe you'd like Brickleberry.
I did watch Big Mouth, and I didn't think it was that terrible. It was just not for everyone. Let's just leave it at that. Iron Fist Season 2, though, was supposedly a lot better, but from going forward, they said that the character's not dead. They'll probably roll him into Luke Cage, if I had to guess.
Hey, man, he was great in Luke Cage when he showed up for that one episode.
Did he? Oh, yeah, I remember, Danny Rand, he didn't really be Iron Fist, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I do
them doing detective stuff, that was a great-ass episode.
Yeah, and I liked Iron Fist in Defenders as well, because they kind of redeemed his writing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because his writing was just really bad in the first season, so...
I definitely think Luke Cage has, aside from Daredevil, Luke Cage has some of the best writing, so like...
Oh, yeah, straight up.
So like, it's straight up, and we determined this when we talked about Iron Fist the first time, it straight up was a problem with the writing and directing, like the rest of...
Yeah.
The rest
and
of
that writer is not doing anything Marvel related anymore, so...
Good.
He did the Inhumans and he was kicked out.
He's like, I don't care whose brother you are. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so...
You're better as a best boy, you bitch. Go back to the fucking Lighten crew. You're done.
Okay, let's move on.
Luca Guadagnino says he's turning Bob's, hold on a second. Sorry, I'm all frazzled today. I got 4 hours of sleep. Anyway, Luca Guadagnino says he's turning Bob Dylan's Blood on the Tracks into a movie. This is going to be the man who directed Call Me By Your Name last year, and he's putting out the Suspiria remake this year. So this is the new movie he's going to be doing. It's going to be a, quote, multi-year story set in the 70s. It's probably going to have Timothy Chalamet playing Bob Dylan, and that's it. That's all we know.
Okay. Is that a song, or?
Yes.
Okay.
It will be adapted as a multi-year story set in the 70s.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't remember that song.
Yeah, I don't.
Don't hurt me. I'm not. I'm not the biggest Bob Dylan fan. Please don't kill me.
Fair enough.
I didn't even know that was a song.
Anyway,
I didn't either.
The next one.
But I know who Bob Dylan. I know of Bob Dylan.
I mostly wanted to bring that up just because of the fact that probably going to end up talking about Luca Guadagnino a little bit, especially with this remake coming out. That's going to be one of the things that's going to happen soon.
It's hard to understand you when you talk into your cup.
Oh yeah, I'm certain of it. Oh, but yeah, next one. Ryan Coogler will write and direct sequel to movie he wrote and directed.
And
he
was
is
good.
signed on to write and direct Black Panther 2.
Which is good because apparently he did a really good job, so he should be rehired. He was really good. He's done nothing but good movies his entire career. I don't even see how this is news. The guy who wrote the last one did a really good job. Everybody loved it, and he's doing another one.
So, especially, for instance, Creed, right? Creed was a fantastic movie, directed and written by Ryan Coogler. Creed 2 is coming out this year. It is not being directed or written by Ryan Coogler.
Yeah, it's actually more common for people who did good movies to not write the sequel.
Yeah, especially what was it? Gareth Edwards is not doing the new Godzilla movie. There was another one that I wanted to bring up, but I completely lost what it was.
James Gunn isn't doing the next Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Yeah, but he did the second one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty. But that means he's basically going to be getting these Marvel checks because he did a very, very good job.
Yeah, and I thought more about that Black Panther thing with you, Dalsson.
Yeah.
I know you don't like Black Panther, but
okay,
I also didn't like Black Panther before I watched it.
Also, you're basing like a movie directed by a man who's done very
stop
good work
stop telling me it's about the cartoon. You said
it was about the cartoon, but he's also fucking bullshit in the comics, so don't even.
Okay, fair enough.
Like this interpretation of Black Panther is easily the best for me. Like I have no hesitation in saying this is the best version of Black Panther in my opinion. So
yeah. I feel like I haven't seen the movie, but I feel like part of it might just be because it's very centralized in Wakanda, and specifically about him being the best in Wakanda, not him being the best in the universe.
No, he's the best in Wakanda. Shit.
Also, a lot of it takes place outside of Wakanda anyway. It centrals. Wakanda is central to the plot, but that's not the only place they are the whole movie. So
right.
Like so, I in the Avengers movie, Black Panther didn't outbeat everyone in Infinity War either. So you know,
yeah.
I think it's safe to say that that's not really a risk at this point.
Because how old is Infinity War?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Not even a year.
In general, they toned him down
because they lost everybody.
Well, no, but they really toned him down in general, though. Like he's not as ridiculous as he was in basically everything else. Because the problem with Black Panther is he's kind of a Mary Sue. He's like a super genius with super magical futuristic technology that nobody else has, and he's also like a spiritual god. So it's like
he can wrestle the Hulk, he can hack Iron Man's stuff, he can break Captain America's shield because vibranium. That's why. It's
not quite that bad in the comics, but it is similar. So I like the only reason he did all of that in that show, I think, was because he was initially presented as an antagonist.
Right.
So, but generally he's
as an antagonist in the fucking Civil War.
Well,
was just like some guy.
It wasn't different. He was literally an antagonist. He was attacking the Avengers. So it wasn't like a social antagonist and he was like a player in the game. It was like he was literally attacking people.
Yeah,
so
he was a bad guy basically,
or presented as a bad guy initially. Yeah.
Okay.
Through misunderstanding, but that's not the point.
But yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for Black Panther 2, and I would love to see a sequel written by the same guy.
Yeah, and I'm glad.
Let's get on to this next travesty of news that I hate.
This one's a little bit old, and yeah, I completely agree. Lilo and Stitch is going to get a live-action remake. This actually probably we could have talked about this on the last podcast, but I'm very much of the idea that if a movie has been made, you have that movie and can watch it.
But here's the thing.
I'm not of that opinion.
Why?
I think that remakes are fine, and
you have been talking about nothing but the fact that they're remaking Suspiria since October started.
Oh yeah, but they're doing it completely differently. Like they're basically turning what was essentially a crazy, colorful giallo film into a Kubrick film.
But all we know about this new Lilo and Stitch is that it's a remake. It doesn't.
Yeah, but we have other remakes to compare it to. But my issue with this is not that it's a remake. I'm fine with remakes to some extent if they do a good job, right?
Okay.
My issue with this one though is like half of the characters are aliens, so they're gonna have to make them CG or something anyway. So it's like, what are you doing? This is the worst movie to make a live action remake of.
Especially when the original was really, really good. And you can just
they point to things such as Beauty and the Beast and the Jungle Book, in which the Jungle Book, all of the animals were CG. Beauty and the Beast obviously, and all of the moving fucking cabinet pieces were CG. I saw the Jungle Book and Beauty and the Beast, and I liked both of those, and I thought that it was fine to remake them. This, on the other hand, I feel like Lilo and Stitch is one of those things that really only works as an animation. I don't think that it's capable of being pulled off as a live action movie.
And
The Jungle Book is fine, and Beauty and the Beast, both of them are relatively grounded in reality, but Lilo and Stitch has almost no grounding in reality. Lilo,
well, I mean,
not
it
Lilo,
takes place in Hawaii, so
Nani.
it's like
Nani is the only character in the entire thing that's grounded in any bit of reality.
well, and Lilo.
Lilo's just kind of regular crazy.
Yeah, but
He's
Lilo's
adorable.
weird.
I love Leo. Yeah,
So
exactly.
so like, yeah, and I totally agree with that. Like, I'm not opposed to them doing Lion King. I'm not opposed to them doing Jungle Book. I'm not opposed to them doing the Disney princesses. This just seems like a really odd choice because, like, all of the they don't even have animals to base it off of, so like their models are going to be completely fabricated, and it's like I just don't see what the purpose of this is, because something like Sleeping Beauty or Cinderella or any of those other ones, like those made sense because the animation is dated now. Like it's not bad animation, don't get me wrong, but the colors are washed out, and like even when you remaster them, they still aren't quite right, and the audio is kind of old. Like, so there are reasons. Like, I could see the argument for them, right? And like as films, it's interesting to have a different version. And even if I don't know, like even doing something like Tangled or something, like you could still get away with that. I just don't know why they would do Lilo and Stitch, which just like half of the cast aren't people. So I don't know.
It's phenomenal as a cartoon.
Yeah,
whereas
it's like, one of the last. It's one of the last traditionally animated ones too.
Here's another thing. Lilo and Stitch is an original work. All of those other movies that they point to that are remade are not original works, save for The Lion King, arguably, but that is just Hamlet. So
well, The Jungle Book.
The Jungle Book was
The Jungle Book
was a book.
Yeah, but it was not that close to the book, though.
It was
like it was as close. Jungle Book the movie is as close to Jungle Book the book as Lion King is to the Hamlet. Let's be real.
It's true. But it still was closer based. So but yeah, they're retelling. Yes, they're retelling the movies that they've made, but they're still retelling stories that have existed
fables
even before the movie. Yeah, classic fables. Whereas Lilo and Stitch is not a classic fable; it's an original work, and it's incredible. But it's not. It just doesn't lend itself to being remade as well as something like.
They're just mad because someone else beat them to Tarzan.
There is one thing. There is one thing that I will relent does need a remake, and would help it incredibly if it was remade. Not necessarily live fucking action, don't get me wrong, but that could go back and fix some of the problems of the original that sort of hampered what was essentially a very, very good movie down a little bit. Treasure Planet. They just went back and removed the fucking robot. We'd be good. If they remade Treasure Planet, Treasure Planet was fucking great, though.
Yeah, I actually really liked Treasure Planet, and
but
I think that was more of a marketing issue than anything else.
That still goes along with the theme of remaking classic fables, because it was based on Treasure Island.
They will never remake Treasure Planet because they lost so much money on that.
Yeah,
they want to pretend it doesn't exist. So,
which is
what actually would,
because it's great.
You know what else would benefit quite a bit from a remake? Hercules, because the writing in that was kind of wonky in places. So you could do, if you touched the script up too, and flattened out some of the tone issues, you could actually make a better version of that movie. The problem with something like Lilo and Stitch is like there's no way they're going to make a better version of Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo and Stitch was like Treasure Planet had its problems. It had like 13 fucking comic relief characters, one of which was Niles from Frasier, and the other one was the worst. Lilo and Stitch is like perfect. I cannot think of a single, I was like, last time I saw it, I was like, wow, I forgot that this movie is just fucking fantastic. I can't think of a single criticism for Lilo and Stitch.
Even
like
to go with a relatively newer movie to remake, a better choice than Lilo and Stitch would be something like The Emperor's New Groove, because it doesn't fall into any of those problems with a live action remake. Like having a man turned into a llama would be certainly a lot easier than just animating an original alien.
Yeah, but I feel like that's the same problem for me. Like, so much of that movie was the llama.
Right.
So it works better as an animation because you can make the llama do funny things in animation that you can't really do and not trigger Uncanny Valley in live action.
But you do see where I'm coming from, where that would be a better choice than even Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, Lilo and Stitch just the only reason they're doing it is because it was immensely popular. It was very successful.
Oh, this is like that's why they do anything.
It's like the worst choice.
You know what else that they could remake that they will never touch?
What?
Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Because that had all sorts of story issues as well.
Remember when they released The Lion King and Pocahontas? They released them in like maybe 1 year after one year and the next the other year. They were both in production at the same time. They thought that Pocahontas was gonna be the big motherfucker that sold.
Yeah.
And they were almost side-eyeing The Lion King. How wrong they were.
Yeah. And then they had the guy who did Lion King do like 2 other films. Or the 2 guys do like 2 other films. And then he finally got to make Treasure Planet, the thing they've been trying to make forever.
Yeah.
And it was awful.
Yeah.
It wasn't awful. It turned out awful.
It turned out financially awful, and there were some bad decisions made probably at the corporate level. But there was a lot of really good shit in Treasure Planet that probably if the original if this wasn't touched by corporate meddling and the fact that they kind of wanted it to fail, if it wasn't that, then it probably could have been a fucking phenomenal movie.
I feel like they just also didn't know who to market it to.
Yeah. That's true.
Because it didn't have an audience the same way as some of the other ones did. So
yeah, I mean, the main character in Treasure Planet was great. Long John Silver was fucking some good ass shit.
I really love the relationship between those 2 characters.
Yeah, that's like the best part of the movie.
Shit! Do you know what else would make a really good remake?
What's that?
Atlantis.
Yeah, shit. Actually, absolutely.
Because that one was kind of a shame too, how that turned out for that franchise.
That wasn't like so much of a I feel like the biggest problem with Atlantis was some of the pacing was a little bit messy. But if they did it if they remade it with love and care, it'd be great. But,
and I don't feel like the script would have even be messed with that much. I think you could just remake it live action and make it work.
Yeah.
So and it doesn't have any animal characters, or does it have like one? I don't know.
Which Atlantis? Yeah, I think it has like a cute regular animal. I think that's it. So
maybe I don't even remember. And then there's also like El Dorado you could do.
Oh god,
I think that was DreamWorks though.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Was Atlantis? Was Atlantis Disney?
No, Atlantis was Disney. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Well, at any rate,
El Dorado would be a great live action movie. That would work perfectly.
Was Titan AE
Titan AE was Don Bluth.
That was Don Bluth. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Poor Don Bluth.
Rest in peace.
You know, it would be really cool if
Titan AE. I fucking loved it.
I know that this would be terrible and this will make a lot of people upset, but if Disney bought the rights to all of Don Bluth's shit and remade some of those movies as live action, I would also be okay with some of that too.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but like some of those movies would be pretty good live action.
I feel like Don Bluth did have especially in the early 2000s, Don Bluth had a falling down point.
Yeah.
I kind of love Titan AE, but definitely not his best movie.
Don Bluth would probably roll in his grave though.
Don Bluth would be
if
fucking
his shit
pissed.
Got it remade as live action.
Don Bluth would kick out his fucking grave with a shotgun. He's not even dead. He would go into his grave, kick it out, take his shotgun, and just start going ham.
You know what I never understood about Don Bluth?
What?
So he was super against making sequels, and he refused to make a sequel to anything he ever did.
Yeah.
Why did he license out stuff to be made sequels
That's
then?
a very good fucking question. Let me tell you about the goddamn Land Before Time. I need to tell you about the Land Before Time.
I don't even, I always,
motherfuckers.
I always forget about that. I try to black that out of my memory because some of the later ones.
What is it? There's like 72 billion Fievel movies.
Okay, but in fairness, those ones weren't so bad.
At least one of those was good.
Like,
Fievel Goes West was fine.
Yeah, I think the point that we, like, fucking Bartok, the Bartok movie, that was a problem.
What's a Bartok?
So Bartok was the bat from Anastasia.
Oh, God.
And he got a spin-off of his own movie.
Jesus Christ.
I've seen that movie more than I've actually seen Anastasia. I think I've seen Anastasia like once. Yeah. Oh, shit.
But that's because, like, I'm pretty sure it was a direct-to-VHS movie at the time.
Yeah. Fucking Christ. I know that there's other ones that I'm trying to think of. The one in particular. Oh, yeah, Secret of Nim. Remember the Secret of Nim
That one had a sequel?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a travesty.
It was fucking
please,
awful.
No, don't remind me.
So there were 3 All Dogs Go to Heavens, I think.
Oh, was there? I didn't know.
And the sequels were definitely a drop in quality, but they were not nearly as bad as some of the other sequels.
Maybe that's why I didn't know about them.
Yeah, because they're not notable for being bad. They're just kind of okay.
Yeah.
I think Secret of Nim 2 wins my top spot for the worst sequel of all time.
Understandable.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
It's really, really bad.
I think I may have seen it. But if it was Secret of Nim, like a sequel to Secret of Nim, then I don't know if I disliked it as a kid. Because if it's the one that I'm thinking of, I thought it was cool that there was like a city of mice. Or is that something else?
No, that's Secret of Nim 2. But okay. I think that's about like I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's the one in the one relatively interesting thing in Secret of Nim 2. I think the rest of it is about Miss Brisby's crippled son going on a love quest.
Well, because I remember there being like some sort of like, I don't know, like kind of metropolis of mice people.
Yeah, right. And there like Secret of Nim was all about this grand adventure. Like
I would not say that was what Secret of Nim was about, but well, that's fine. We'll leave it,
if you will. Miss Brisby certainly went on a grand adventure.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I will agree with that. That was how the plot was moved forward.
Yes.
And Secret of Nim 2, the plot. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Let's move on to game stories.
Right.
So this first thing is about Fallout, so why don't you talk about it? I don't know I don't know how much you want to go into the lore of Fallout 76 or whatever, but
it won't take me that long. I'm going to give it a big easy summary, and Thel's gonna cut me off about 3 minutes in. So
oh
yeah. Essentially,
these dogs.
There is a huge outrage about the Brotherhood of Steel being in Fallout 76. And what I've linked here is a refutation post as to why it's perfectly reasonable. And what it boils down to essentially is that it has been in Fallout 76, it has been 86 years since the Brotherhood of Steel was established. And therefore, it is completely reasonable for the Brotherhood of Steel to have moved from parts of the Brotherhood of Steel to have moved from the east to the west to the East Coast in 86 years. Somebody could walk from the east to the West Coast in like a third of that time. So
didn't they show in the trailer a Brotherhood of Steel guy getting nuked though?
They did. And that's what people are so pissed off about.
Well, I don't think it was that. What I thought it was the like note that was like from the Brotherhood of Steel or something.
Right. And Thel, now you say, why would they?
Yeah.
My question is, why wouldn't they? The Brotherhood of Steel's
because
goal.
They're completely cut off from everything because nukes fell.
Okay, but
communication is tough. In fact, they haven't had much communication with anyone. In fact, I'm pretty sure that was.
But as of Fallout 3, though. As of Fallout 3, though, they show that there was presence of Brotherhood of Steel in that area. Like, now, West Virginia is not that far from D.C.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Now,
the Brotherhood of 200 years after.
But it works, well, only about 100 or so years after 76.
It was more than 200 years.
But they were in their own bunkers, so, like, I don't see what the issue was.
The issue is that they were established on the West Coast, and so why would they go to the East Coast? And that's what Thel is saying.
Oh, hello? Shit, the audio cut out for me. That's weird. Hold on. Oh. What the hell?
Hello?
Oh.
Discord's back.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, Discord cut out for me, so I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
No, Thel, you're asking why would they do that?
Yeah.
Why would they move? Because
especially
the Brotherhood
when they've been shown to be very, very closed off.
No, wrong. In Fallout New Vegas, the sect that was in the Mojave Desert was very isolationist because they didn't have the resources to fight the NCR, which was
no. I'm talking about Fallout 1 and 2.
And their goals, the Brotherhood of Steel's goals, even established in Fallout 1 and 2, were to secure, contain, and protect pre-war technology, essentially, so that it couldn't get into the hands of the outside and something like the Great War wouldn't happen again. Now, in what way is it conducive to their goals to stay in one small area of the United States? It isn't.
It's not, but then again, like I'm saying, they weren't super logical. In fact, that was one of the big things about Fallout New Vegas.
What? They're not. No, like they were
like dying.
You can't say that they were just illogical. They were like, they made ideological decisions, certainly, but it's not like they were without logic. They just their ideology overwrote some of their logic, but it doesn't mean they're completely illogical.
Fallout Fallout New Vegas is because they were just like legitimately going against what would be their best interest.
Right.
But their ideology overwrote their best interest in that scenario. It wouldn't mean that they would just never go anywhere.
Right. And
also, I thought it was retconned anyway in Fallout 3 that like they had stations of Brotherhood on the East Coast.
They didn't have stations initially when they were like established. They were established at one particular National Guard camp. But they moved. And it was established in Fallout 3 that they moved, and even if it weren't, it's unreasonable to say that they hadn't moved, even with as illogical and even with all the zealotry and whatnot that goes on with the Brotherhood of Steel, and essentially them building up their own sect as a religion that worships themselves. They would move across the United States. It makes sense, especially in that long span of time.
Also, if they could make it to that oil rig, which is not near California, right? Isn't it like off the coast of Texas?
It's off the coast. It's off the coast of California.
Yeah,
okay,
that was the Enclave. Yeah, that wasn't the Brotherhood of Steel at all.
Of course, in certain sects, I'm pretty sure, in certain paths, I'm pretty sure you raid the oil rig with the Brotherhood of Steel.
Oh yeah, because the Brotherhood of Steel hate the Enclave.
But right, exactly. So if they could even get across the ocean at that point in time, and this takes place after Fallout 2, like...
I'm pretty sure they steal a vertibird from the Enclave.
Or no, this doesn't take
place. Does not have
this doesn't take place at... Well, they do now, because they stole them from the Enclave.
Oh yeah, but, I mean, yeah. At that point.
No, right. I don't think Fallout 76 takes place after Fallout 1 and 2. I think it takes place before Fallout 1 and 2.
Yeah.
God, I don't really know now. I'm not sure of the timeline of Fallout 76. It's shortly after the bombs dropped.
Well, the fact that there was a dude to stand there and watch the bombs get dropped with his power armor.
Yeah,
I feel like that's already a
Power-
retcon. Like, I feel like they're already retroactively saying, no, there were other Brotherhood of Steel places anywhere. And, like, sure, you can get mad at that, but that's, like, a different complaint than it being...
the Brotherhood of Steel could not get to West Virginia.
Timeline breaking or something. I don't know. Whatever.
It's not. It's again another, like, I don't mind. If
I feel like
somebody
this
thinks
happens every time that one of these games come out.
It does. I don't mind if people think it's stupid.
Hey.
Like, that's okay. They can think it's stupid. You can think it's stupid, but to say that it is lore breaking and that it contradicts things established in Fallout 1 and 2, which even Bethesda recognized as canon, is incorrect. It does not contradict what we know about the Brotherhood of Steel. And that's all I really wanted to get at.
Plus, they, having the ability to retcon things is a very powerful tool.
It's true.
Yeah.
And you can just say, oh, these people didn't know about this other thing.
They do say New Vegas is non-canon, though I disagree.
They're gonna have fucking jet.
You can't just disagree, but okay.
They're gonna have fucking.
I'm a little surprised that they would say that.
That is a good example of flat out breaking the lore. In Fallout 4, there was a terminal which references jet before the Great War, and jet was a drug that is made from Brahmin poop, which did not exist
purely to be sold post-war. It was like jet didn't exist in Fallout 1.
Yeah, so and I think that was just an oversight.
Inventor of jet in like Fallout 2, and that's like a big series of quests that's actually talked about like at the end. Like at the very end of Fallout 2, it's like one of the cards is like the guy who invented jet died alone, a virgin, never scored.
Yeah, I think that was just an oversight, and you can go and say this note is uncanon, right? But I don't know.
Right, exactly. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Bethesda never breaks the lore, but I think a lot of the big things, while they may not be consistent with how it should have been intended to be, they're not inconsistent as to how it was.
Right.
Yeah, and you can think it's dumb. That's like a different argument entirely.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily... Like, I could definitely see the argument for, like, stuff that happened in Fallout 1 and 2 should not be contradicted. Like, I totally am fine with that perspective.
Super mutants, on the other hand, at the point where super mutants are in Fallout 76, they are breaking their own established canon from Fallout 3, so I just don't understand that.
If that is indeed what happens, but I guess we'll find out.
Exactly, we'll find out.
Fallout 76 might just not be canon either, so... I don't think we've gotten a word of God on that either, so...
Yeah.
Because I could very much see it not being canon based on the kind of game it is.
Yeah. For sure.
So let's move on. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of a big PSA kind of thing.
Okay.
And then we can talk about this a little bit more. So Sony, there's a flaw with some security aspect of Sony's PSN network, that your PS4s could be soft bricked if you were either sent or open and read a private message. Someone somewhere who was able to inject code into a private message that causes PlayStation 4s to be bricked. If this happens, you have to factory reset so it doesn't break the system. I think
just wipes all your shit.
Yeah. So, and like, if you have PlayStation Plus, then all your saves are backed up. But if you don't, then oops,
Yeah.
So it's highly recommended that everyone who has a PlayStation 4 switch their messages to friends only or no one until this is resolved. Which I think that the latest patch may have.
I heard about this a while ago before you even posted this article, and I'm pretty sure that it wasn't somebody injecting code into a message. I'm pretty sure that there was a particular Unicode character that the PS4 couldn't display, and the way it handled it was by just breaking itself.
That sounds like
even worse than that.
But I don't know though, because that sounds like it would be a crash Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
First of all,
rather than like a brick.
First of all, if it is true that it's a Unicode issue, that would be better than people being able to inject code.
Yeah.
That being said, you know, I don't know. Shouldn't happen. Also, how would they send a Unicode character if opening it breaks it?
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Anyway,
this just reminds me of the like if you're getting fucked with by a Chinese player on a video game, just send them the Tiananmen incident in the 60s. Just send them that thing, and then their thing will disconnect.
Just send them something that they're not supposed to talk about.
Just send them something about the Tiananmen Square incident, and then
But I don't know whether that was real or not.
I don't know if that'll like I think that like the joke is it'll like shut down their internet. I don't know if that works, but it might.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
So yeah. So set your PSN messages to friends only for now.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, some news about Artifact, the Valve game. The Valve trading card game.
Dota 2 based trading card game. Now, I want to present the information in the article, and I also want to say something about it. So give me a moment before you jump in. Okay. Essentially what the article is saying is that the developers are claiming that there aren't going to be these crazy $500 expensive decks that are going to wipe the floor with everybody. And the reason they have to say that is because they have their trading cards also available on the Steam, or they will have their trading cards available on the Steam market. So essentially what they're saying is the cost and rarity of a card is not going to have the bearing on the power level of the card. Now, so for example, common cards will be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than a particularly rare card. And there's going to be so many copies of these common cards floating around that there is no way that the market could bubble and get expensive because they're just so easy to get, right? That's their design philosophy for keeping out these $500 kill everything
essentially net decks.
You see, yeah. But that's what they're saying. Net decks will be fine. And one of the specific things that they say is, for every expensive $500 deck that blows everybody out of the water, there's going to be 10 really easy to obtain decks that blow that deck out of the water, you know? So my problem with this is still, you can kind of gauge from the language that they're using in this interview, the idea is still just to build a particular net deck. They're not talking about a way that you can synergize your cards together. They're saying for every one expensive deck, there will be 10 inexpensive decks. They are talking about particular decks that people will put together and then sell on the internet. And so it sounds like they're designing it from that point. And maybe it's because they know that card games can't go without net decks existing. But I feel that they want you to. They're saying that there won't be these expensive decks to encourage you, like, hey, there won't be these expensive decks, it'll be easy to jump into. But what the language conveys is that there will be just particular decks that you have to build. So even if there won't be super expensive decks, you're still just going to have to sell the shitty cards you get and buy good cards for it, regardless of whether
that's not a
they're
problem
expensive or not.
That's not a problem with Valve's design philosophy. That is a problem with trading card games. Yeah. So you are literally never ever going to not have this issue in games, period. Right. Now, that being said, it sounds from the point of view that they want to have this, it sounds like it's not necessarily rare cards that are going to be good. Rare cards are more likely to be famous characters. Yeah. Right? So cards that might end up expensive are probably going to be things like Sylvanas, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, well, I don't
Sylvanas
know,
or-
whoever
Yeah,
from Dota.
so whoever Sylvanas is, or Meepo,
Dota,
or
yeah.
Invoker. Those
Yeah,
will all
right.
be-
It'll be Invoker who's a rare card. That might not necessarily mean they're the best card or whatever.
Right.
So they have the ability to make common cards be incredibly powerful. And on top of that, I think it's just generally easier for if a card is really a problem to just make more of them.
Right.
That is a different, like in a game like Magic the Gathering where you have to actually print cards. It might be easier for them to mitigate that in a game like Artifact where they could just release more digital copies of a card.
Not even necessarily release more digital copies, just adjust the drop rates.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then over time it would sort itself out. But
Right.
Yeah.
But here I think is my main problem with what they're saying. They're saying if you want to try a different deck, you can just sell the cards you have, take your investment, and turn it into something else. Now, he's talking that up like it's great, and this is why it's going to be so much better than all of the other digital trading card games out there. Every digital trading card game out there has the same thing. You can just melt down your cards in Hearthstone for dust. And then
it's
turn
different,
them into
though.
better cards.
It's different because of the Steam Marketplace, though. Because you can inject money into net decking if you want, or you could like the difference with Artifact is the Steam Marketplace. In Hearthstone, sure, you could melt down your cards, but you can't turn them into tangible something else. If you played a lot of Artifact and just one day you were like, I hate this game, I will never play it again, you could melt down all of your cards and then spend them on like a different video game in Steam's ecosystem. So I think that what they're saying is true. These cards have a monetary value that is better than any other game like this, purely because of the Steam Marketplace, and that is an advantage that they have.
And what
Closer
I think
to
that
something like
saying...
Magic the Gathering. Like, we have a friend named Flashgen. He likes to go to Friday Night Magic, which is where you open like 100 booster packs and everybody drafts out of those booster packs, and then you get to keep the cards after you buy in, so you can actually make money by just you go and have fun and play that game, and then you can make money and just sell the cards that you got when you drafted.
And then you could do something like, say you got in Magic the Gathering, say you got Planeswalker Jace or whatever, one of the most popular, expensive, good cards.
Right.
If you didn't want to use that and you're just casually playing, you could sell it and then turn that money into a bunch of other cards. So, like, that is an advantage that Artifact has that none of these other games really can hold a candle to, because Hearthstone in particular upsets people because you have no recourse for getting the cards you want other than just buying more and more booster packs.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
That being said, fuck trading card games. So I don't know.
What I think this is what they're saying is less that this will be good and more this won't be terrible.
Yeah.
Right. What they're saying, I think, is that this is now that you've kind of like gone over that and given me a different perspective. I think what they're really saying is this will be closer to a physical card game because of the Steam Marketplace, as opposed to this will be better than those other card games because we have the same system in place.
Yeah.
Right. You have the ability to cash out, but that makes trading card booster packs even more gambling than before.
Yeah.
Assuming you purchase booster packs, which is, I guess it's possible that you don't.
Yeah.
My main question, on a small tangent about Artifact, my main question is, what in the fuck could they possibly do? Like what are the fucking cards gonna be? Like, you have the 102 or whatever Dota heroes, and then like the jungle mobs and minions. What the fuck is the rest of it? Yeah, what are the other cards gonna be?
Well, being someone who plays Fire Emblem Heroes, I'm sure we'll see 10 different Hectors.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Gordon Freeman.
Yeah, Gordon Freeman.
Actually, this Artifact, I would like it more if it was like
Valve
video games, the card game.
Yeah.
You know, Valve partners with, you know, I don't know.
I mean, Shovel Knight's gonna be in it. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, partners with Shovel Knight, partners with Stardew Valley, partners with every indie dev they can think of.
Yeah,
and but not Sam and Max.
Yeah, not Sam and Max.
And you know, makes it would be fun, right?
Yeah,
if it was like that, and I could definitely see them going that way, especially if they run out of ideas. But I don't know, and like World of Warcraft sort of doesn't have this problem as much because it is such a bigger thing. But World of Warcraft has done a decent job of making a bunch of expansions that are, you know, this kobold expansion has like 20 different kinds of kobolds, so I don't know.
Right, yeah. World of Warcraft has like a bunch of different like monsters that it could make, whereas Dota, like every game of Dota is the fucking same. It has the same pool of items you can buy, the same pool of heroes you can play, and that's it. So I feel like it's a lot harder to turn it into a card game. But
I think what might happen is they might make a bunch of fake items that maybe get turned into Dota items if people like them.
Yeah, that's possible.
I find that the more likely scenario, honestly, that Dota 2 takes from Artifact more than Artifact takes from Dota in the long run. In the short term, it'll probably just be like, here's the Invoker card, here's the Sproink card. I forget her name.
They've totally moved Enchantress, yeah. They've totally moved away from parity patches with with the original Dota in Warcraft 3. Like they have totally different shit now, so it's that makes sense.
Someone in chat was talking about Fire Emblem Heroes, which made me laugh.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Oh man, Fire Emblem Heroes has become unplayable because there's this healer who is so fucking good.
Is it the new Veronica?
The new Veronica is so good. She is like better than a bunch of mages, and she's a healer. Doesn't
she also heal every character at a time?
But that wouldn't be the worst.
Okay.
That wouldn't be that's not what the problem would be. The problem is just that she does so much damage because one of the key healer skills is wrapped up into her weapon by default.
Oh god.
So she she hits like a truck, and if you get a certain seal on it, you can hurt everyone in the match too, which is a thing that most mages can't do. So it's just I hate it. I hate it.
Right.
That new Veronica sucks.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they're gonna fix it, because at least with the problem with them coming out with a bunch of strong armored characters is you can kind of deal with armored characters. I don't know how you deal with Veronica other than nerfing her, which they don't do. So I don't...
Oh, I know. You can give her a horse, and then it'll be obvious that everybody should have her on her team.
She is on a horse. She is already a cavalry healer.
I see.
Yeah. She is the best healer.
An even stronger healer.
She made all mages worse when she came out.
They could do what Artifact is doing and just give her to everybody.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Someone in chat said they got a Veronica with attack up, defense down. That is so ridiculous. Anyway. I heard they came out with Dragalia Lost, which I didn't know was a Nintendo game, but it's another gacha game, and I'm really interested in trying that, so I'm going to try that out this week.
Our friend who's in chat actually has played it a lot, and he really likes it. He says it's very skill-based as opposed to other gacha games.
My problem with mobile games, is most mobile games don't have gameplay in them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll try it, but if it doesn't have enough gameplay, if it has more gameplay than that Pokemon Quest game that came out, I might be happy with it, but I don't know.
And even that game had more gameplay than some mobile games.
I'm starting to get burned out on Fire Emblem Heroes, Veronica aside, so... I wish they had more PvE content, because I'm starting to get tired of their PvP content. But... And there's no events running right now, so it just makes it boring.
Yeah.
I have to go to the bathroom again.
Okay.
Let's just blast through this shit. I do too.
Yeah. Okay. Here. More Fallout 76. We probably should have grouped this. But
oh yeah.
So, changing pace from that other thing, the governor of West Virginia, Jim Justice, which is an awesome name for a politician, by the way.
Yeah.
They're working together with Bethesda to do an official tourist program with Fallout 76.
That's fucking cool.
An action-packed trip to Detroit.
They're so happy with. Well, no, it's West Virginia, so there's like nothing.
Yeah.
But people. There was already a different story which we ended up not talking about, but that the tourism for West Virginia has gone crazy and been like really good lately because of this video game. So to hear that the governor leaned into it, it was like, yeah, Fallout 76 that takes place here. That's just really funny to me.
That's pretty good, yeah. And it's like that's it's a good because West Virginia. I've been to West Virginia. It is a beautiful state, but like when New Vegas came out, like tourism was not impacted in the Las Vegas area because it's already such a fucking it's already a place like that. Whereas West Virginia isn't on the top of most people's tourist destinations.
And I think it's also kind of cool for West Virginia too because Bethesda didn't just make a game set in West Virginia. They made a game that takes from their urban legends and kind of like cryptid thing, and
of which West Virginia has a lot of.
Yeah, which is it's already well known for. So it pulled from West Virginian culture too. So I think it is especially good than just being set in West Virginia. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was. This conversation made me think of I saw this Reddit post the other day. Somebody said, man, my neighbors are really going to be wondering why the fuck I'm blasting Country Road Take Me Home 30 times on October 30th. And then somebody else just said, I live in West Virginia. My neighbors will know exactly why. They'd find it abnormal if I wasn't playing that every night. So yeah. Yeah, it's that's really cool that a video game could have like a fucking impact on like the tourism board for a place, you know? I'm sure it's happened before, but this is a pretty big release. So.
Yeah.
Remember when an action-packed trip to Detroit?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody fucking wanted that.
Okay, Conan Exile.
Yes.
I don't know what this is about, so why don't you go through it?
There isn't a whole lot. There's a new free update which adds in like pets that you can like steal an egg or like befriend a cub and have like a pet in your little Conan Exiles, which just moves it even closer to Ark.
You know, the title from this PC Gamer article is Conan Exile updates adds pets plus other stuff that's not as cool as pets.
Yeah,
I love that. That's good.
Yeah. So that is good. That's actually kind of funny to point out because the pets and the new pet system and all the stuff you can do with them, that's the new free stuff. At the same time as their big free pets update, they also released a new DLC pack that adds new weapons and armor and paints and building pieces and stuff.
Yeah, but that's all kind of cool.
So yeah, so that's all kind of cool, but the big feature that they know everybody wants is pets, and they released that for free. And then the extra cool stuff is the DLC pack.
Do you guys want to get Conan Exiles? I was already somewhat interested in this game because it has a bit more focus on PvE stuff than other games like it. Because a lot of the quests are like go hunt this thing in the middle of the desert. So
honestly, exactly. I feel like I'm like really I feel like I'm really burnt out on like this kind of like survival type of game. Like I'm not like you guys are really excited for Fallout 76. I'm not.
Right. Well, that's okay.
I don't think
I'm excited for Fallout 76 because it's a Fallout game.
I don't think Fallout 76 is going to be as survival-y as other ones, so I'm not worried about that.
That is true.
That's what I like about it. You know, these Ark servers have 100 people in it, and 10 minutes into the game, you're gonna run into some dude blowing up your base. And Fallout 76, like the server the map is 9 times the size of Fallout 4, and there's like 20 people in a map.
Well, plus it gets rid of the thing that I hate the most about survival games, which is just other random characters fucking killing you for no reason and you not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, other elements like food and thirst and all that junk, that's annoying, but that's not deal-breaking for me. What's deal-breaking is the fact that I can't do what I want because some random jack-off is shooting me. So,
yeah, exactly.
And even then, I think like the water and hunger stuff, I think even that's probably not going to be that bad. So
yeah. No, I mean, if you've played survival mode in New Vegas,
I haven't, but you know,
well, I wasn't talking
general audience you,
specific you. I was saying the general you.
Well, I thought you were talking to us specifically, but
I mean, but if you know what survival mode is like in New Vegas, that's what it's going to be like in Fallout 76. You're going to scavenge 1 million fucking food items and you're never going to run out of hunger because you have them laying around.
Yeah. It just feels like, from what I've heard of Fallout 76, it just seems like a more RPG-esque. Well, I say RPG-esque in, like, gamey RPG, not in terms of, like, role-playing a character. I mean, like,
like
stats
RPG is
and
in,
fun
like, genre of the game, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So it just seems like it leans into that as a group, and it seems pretty Fallout-esque despite being having the trappings of another game.
I know that you guys don't believe that this will last, and I don't believe it'll last, like, people will only do this, but there are people who plan to be, like, wandering merchants, and maybe they'll... But you can re-roll, like, your character. You can just flip up your perk cards whenever you're safe. So some guy could like run around and be a wandering merchant for a day, and you might have an encounter where you're like,
well,
he's like, hey, I got a bar here, come in.
Actually, from what I've heard, the more information I get, I think the more likely that stuff stays, because they don't punish you for doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main point. Like, they give you so much freedom to move stuff around that you don't get hurt by doing that. At most, it just slows you down, right? Because if you're taking a bunch of, like, charisma perks, then you won't get combat perks, like the cards. You might get random ones, but you won't pick ones. So, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
I'm actually pretty excited because I've only seen things that have made me feel more positive on the game. I haven't found things that made me more concerned. So
exactly, yeah.
Oh, this is another thing I should have grouped with PlayStation.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why, but I'm just not doing a good job this time. But PSN is now allowing you to change your ID. Everybody gets one for free. So if you're like Super Buttlord 34 from 10 years ago when you were a dumb kid, you can now change that.
Instead want to be Mega Ass Man 76.
Yeah. Now you can... I love how you said 76.
Yeah. I was thinking of I don't know why. Yeah, I was thinking of Overwatch.
So yeah, but after the first change it's $10. You'll also, if you change it, you'll also be able to revert it for free.
Okay.
Once, because they say that there is potential for it to breaking certain older games that came out after April 1st. Or no, wait, what's the date? I don't remember, but there was a specific date that April 1st, 2018. So anything before that, a large majority of things will work just out of the box with no issues, even on Vita and PS3. But there is potential for it to break stuff. So if that comes up for you, they'll be able to revert it. Or anyone will be able to revert it for free once. So,
well, that would be kind of shitty if it did break, and then you wanted to change your name, and then you reverted, and you're just stuck with the old name.
Yeah, but it's better.
Video game
but that's still better than not being able to change your name and then going, oh shit, this thing broke, and now you have no recourse. So it's nice that they're doing that at least, right?
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is cool. This is something that people have been asking for a long time, but yeah. So the next thing, Stardew Valley.
On phone.
yeah, Stardew Valley Mobile is launching on iOS October 24th. There's not a release date for Android, but it's probably next month, likely. Or soon. It's like not supposed to be like 6 months. It's supposed to be like a month or two at most.
Yeah.
It's not. It's going to be a purchase once and you own it thing. There's not going to be microtransactions in it. But I don't know if there's multiplayer or anything like that. So
Right.
That's kind of cool. If you like Stardew Valley and want to play it on phones, I might actually do that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might actually rather play it on my phone.
Stardew Valley is one of those games that I've always wanted to take with me, but if I really wanted to take it with me, I would probably just take, like, if I wanted to take it with me that bad, I would take my Switch with me. So,
yeah. I mean, but like, for a lot of people, it's like, taking their phone everywhere is something they already do. Taking their Switch everywhere is something they might not want to do.
You have to make a choice to do,
Yeah,
exactly.
And then our last story of this week, this is something that Thel posted.
Yeah. So Amnesia: The Dark Descent is getting a hard mode, and by getting, I mean it's out now. You can go play it. What it is the hard mode. The enemies see you faster. There are no quick saves, and if you save, you gotta spend tender boxes, which weren't really being used for anything before. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, that's right. If you run out of sanity, you die. So it's Amnesia survival mode.
That kind of sounds awful to me.
It does. But
really?
you know.
Yeah.
Well, because towards the end of the game,
I feel like the sanity system in Amnesia just wasn't well implemented at all, and I was glad that it had no effect other than fucking up your screen.
Also, towards the end of the game, it becomes a little bit trial and error with how you get past the dude. So, for some people, I don't know. I just think it sounds shitty, but I'm sure certain people will love it.
I'm actually gonna make a video about it.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Plus, I never like games where it's like, I guess at least it's not like roguelike, right? You don't lose your save when you die.
Yeah.
So you can at least go back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's better than nothing.
Yeah.
I could not imagine doing this in one life though. That actually sounds terrible.
I know I've beaten Amnesia in one life before.
Well, maybe you won't with harder enemies.
Well, it's not. It's
probably won't. Yeah.
It's not one life. It's you have to save with tinder boxes. So
yeah. No, I'm saying if it was one life. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for this week. We don't have anything else. So why don't we talk about what's coming up?
Okay.
Maybe some stuff.
You just came out with your Suspiria video this last Friday.
Yep.
So go ahead and go watch that if you've not seen it. I have not seen it yet. Sorry though. So I can't say how good it is, but it's probably awesome because I do like Thel's videos.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have coming up on your channel this week, Dalsson?
So unfortunately, I made an announcement on Twitter already. Unfortunately, for this month, for whatever reason, work is riding me really hard. So I'm not going to be doing my normal Friday streams for sure. Saturdays are kind of up in the air. So all you really have to look forward to are our Thursday night streams, which I really enjoy. Maybe some off time streams because I am getting off of work earlier. But as far as scheduled streams, there's not really going to be a lot.
Do you know what I think you should try?
What's that?
I think you should try streaming every night in the evening.
Yeah.
And I know that it's going to suck after work, but I think you should try it because I think it might.
Especially because, like, I feel like that's a good time.
Because if you could get in the habit of doing it, and we could even play some of them with you.
Yeah, and like you and me, we hang out like almost every night, and I would be fine playing fucking video games with you, or even just hanging out in your stream and like talking shit. But you know.
And then at the end of this month, or week, or 2 weeks, or however long you want to do it, if you decide that it's just not working for you and it's too hard, then just stop. But like, I think this is a good point in time to really try to do that, right?
Yeah. Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
And like, but yeah, and also I feel like it's a better time to stream because streaming in the mornings, I don't feel like there's a huge market for that.
Yeah, during the day at work. Well, I don't know. They're
Yeah.
kind of could be because people listen to Twitch at work. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
so
Yeah, I
maybe
don't
we
know.
could try that. Well, if you are
I'll
watching
think
this
about that.
podcast, keep that in mind because maybe that might happen or it might not. Who knows?
I'm probably gonna put out a Amnesia video sometime next week.
Game wise,
Friday next week.
do you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm on.
Me?
Dalsson.
Yeah,
So,
Dalsson.
Yeah, game wise, I probably am going to be going harder on a bunch of those lousy free to play games that I love, Path of Exile, Warframe, and Let It Die. I've dropped off on Let It Die a little bit, but I plan to push further in the tower on that.
We should do Maple Story.
We should do Maple Story.
Do you want to try Maple Story this week?
I was planning on asking that. I didn't know if I wanted to stream it. So why don't we plan to stream Maple Story 2?
Okay.
You don't have to come, Thel. Also,
Thel should come at least for a little while. He can quit if he doesn't like it, but he should at least try it.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. I will.
Now, one last thing. It is Octoberween. So I have to play Night in the Woods again. Stay tuned for updates on that.
Okay, that sounds like a good... Like, that would be a good evening stream if you wanted to do, because that's not super stressful either.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, that all sounds fun. Why don't you guys keep an eye out for that? And, I guess that's it for us this week. As always, remember...
Stay beautiful.